today we are in the Grand Prix again with the new set of daily races. And the first race we are starting off in race A, which is N300, if I remember correctly. It's the N300 class. And this is the first time I've seen them do this. I'm not totally sure if they've done it in the past. Whereas normally race A would be your one make, you got. Normally, yeah, it would be something like an N300 class or an N100 class, something like that. But normally it'd just be like your one make, so it's one specific car. But as you can see, this week there was like a selection of different cars. They're all very similar. The setup to the cars are all very similar. I mean, there's a few variations of the Skyline. You got the RX-7. I think you got the Lancer and the Impreza. I think also the NSX is in there, so it's kind of sort of like the commoner's sports car, road car kind of thing, category set up on it. And you can see I've gone for the I think this one is the 2002 Skyline V-Spec 2 or something like that. I can't remember its full name. But yeah, I've never seen them do that on race A before. I don't know if they've done it in the past, but it's the first time I've seen it. And I thought, it's a nice little change that they've done this time around. Okay, the track they've done this on, it's not the most fun, but what can you do? Again, when it comes to driver racing, I still literally have no idea what the hell and how they do it, because if it's not driver rating, the car number, because if the car number is to do with driver rating, then there's obviously a bug in my one, because apparently I'm car number 1. I don't know how, because there were people who were higher ratings than me, so I'm literally clueless on that. But yeah, with this week's races, this was like the only sort of like decent race I had, unfortunately. But every single race this week, race A, I've done twice. Quit the first time, completed the second time. Race B, quit the first time, completed the second time. Race C, quit the first time, completed it second time. I did not have a good set of races this week. It was absolutely terrible. For me anyway. Compared to last week's daily races, this week for me was not that good. I mean, yes, I'm at the moment on 4th, which is not actually half bad. But as I said, this was like my only kind of like decent one that I had. But yeah, the races that went bad. I can't say that they were fully because of other people. See, just the Italian decided to lose it. But yeah. I didn't do too well, mainly also because I just didn't race that well this week, to be honest. And you see I've gone a bit wide there. Lucky enough didn't spin out, but just went wide, lost the position to the Spaniard, I think it was. Yep. But this track, it's an easy track. It's simple. It's mainly long corner at one end, long corner at the other end, long straight, and then S section. There's not much to it, so you can't really go with that wrong. Unless you did my first race where you come stone dead last, and yeah, then you can't do that wrong. But that was just a bad race. So, oh no, with this race, there's not really much to say. It's just I just thought that how they've done it this week, with it being a selection of certain category cars, was a little bit different. I actually think hopefully that they actually keep on with doing that, actually, because I think it's better personally. I think it's a bit more fun for the players if you can mix up the car. So, I think next week race A is another one make, but I think it's an N100. So I don't know if it's going to be one specific car, or if it's going to be like what it was this week in race A, with a specific category. So it would be N100 next week, but with maybe 6 or 7 cars to choose from that are in the N100 category. If they do that, then I think that would probably be better, because I think, personally myself, I think it's a bit more fun there, that way. I'm not going to see what track it is, but I do know that it's an N100 category race A next week. So I think now we're on to the last lap now, I think. Again, don't have any information, I can't tell you, but I think this is the last lap. So I haven't really gained... I think I gained a few positions from my starting position, but you know, again, it's not been the most eventful race. Yeah, that one little going wide on the one lap. You see, I'm starting to catch up a bit now. But yeah, it wasn't the most eventful race, but you know, it was a pretty smooth race, considering how the rest of my races went this week. So now I'm just trying to catch up with Snapper X. See him overtake. So I've got past him there. So I've got myself up in the third. He goes a bit wide, and fortunately Spaniard did have a penalty, but since the finishing line is so near the thing, couldn't overtake him. But that's it for race A, a third place. My only good result. Alright, here we are with race B. This week was at Autopolis, which I would admit I was not looking immensely forward to this race, because Autopolis to me it's not a strong track for me. It's not a track I've done that often, but I've had to give it a go, and you can see I've qualified in 11th, and this time I'm not car number 1. And you can see I'm in the Alfa Romeo 4C, which seems to be the car that seemed to have been dominating the top 10s for qualifying times. My qualifying time was like I think it was like a 1:56 point something, but the top 10s they're all like 1 minute 50s. So I was off the pace by quite a bit. It's needless to say. But and so yeah, Autopolis, not my strongest track. This race, it went okay. It could have went better. It could have been worse. But at this point, I was just kind of like, I suppose, salty, you could say. But it's basically, since I wasn't had bad races. I wasn't in the mood for doing the races. Also, I still tried to race cleanly, to try and race as clean as I could, and try and not purposely fuck anyone else's races up, you know. But at this point, I was just like, no, I just want to get around the track, get it over and done with, and just get the race done. Simple as bosh. So yeah, that probably didn't help in the end with me doing well, but at that kind of point, I just didn't care. But yeah, I suppose you could say yes, I was probably being a bit salty. But it happens. So you can see I've now climbed up to 8, so I've managed to climb a few positions in the first lap. I think I overtook a couple of people with people going wide. And you see there, unfortunately there, TOTRD, I had a little bit of a bump with him. Lucky enough it didn't completely bugger him over, but unfortunately it did knock him back a few positions. Now, it's probably, I will say that, yeah, that was probably my fault. I'm not going to say, oh, he did it wrong, rah, 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 rah. That probably was my fault. I think what happened there is, to me anyway, but I don't know, I may have just been going a bit too fast into that corner. But I'm not totally sure if the TRD was, you know, basically overcooked it a little bit, slightly skidded the back end out a little bit, which slowed him down just a little tiny bit, which then made me hit into him. And obviously I didn't want to suddenly stop myself to not hit him, because I wasn't entirely sure if there were people behind me at that point, so I couldn't really risk the chance of possibly causing a bigger accident, so I had to sort of bite the bullet there. But it probably was at least, if not 100% my fault, at least probably vast majority my fault. But the good thing was, at least it didn't completely fuck him over. Yes, he lost a few positions because of it, but at least he didn't go flying off the track and completely fucking up his race. But I will take the blame onto that corner there myself. So again, this race not the most eventful. I mean, yeah, he had that one little event with TODRD, but as you can see, he's not too far behind me now. And as he just overtakes, did he overtake the Brit? He's on the verge of overtaking the Brit. And so, yeah, Autopolis. I don't mind Autopolis. I think Autopolis is, you know, I don't mind the track. Is it my favourite? No. Is it a good track? Yes. If you like a track that's very technical, because there's a lot of turns, a lot of left-handers and right-handers, and kind of tight, because slightly tighter turns and long fast turns in Autopolis. So if you like that kind of style track, then it's a good track. It's just not up there in like my favourite tracks, primarily because I think just as of at the moment, I'm not massively strong on Autopolis, so I can't fully put 100% into the race to get really fast times. But it's not. But yeah, it's not a bad track. It's just not my strongest track. So I think we're now on the third lap. Is that the third lap or the fourth lap? I don't know. I haven't been keeping track on the time technically, so I'm not 100% sure. But as you can see, I'm now up in 7th. So I think this actually may be the last lap actually, but I'm not 100% sure. So it's a question now of, can I catch up with 6th and maybe get 6th place, or do I stay in 7th, or do I go wrong somewhere and fuck it all up, causing more problems for myself and my mental anguish I was having at that point of being salty. Coming up on the straight. Yeah, some of the braking points in this track, I don't know exactly where they are, so there are probably some points in the race where it's all like, I'm going wide where I don't need to, or I'm slowing down when I don't need to, la 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 la. But again, as I said, not Autopolis, not my strongest track. But still keeping pace with 6. I'm sort of like, not really gaining any ground on him, but I'm not really losing too much ground on him either. But I'm not able to push hard enough to get it because I just don't know the track very well. So we're coming up to the last couple of corners now. And this seat, am I able to pull anything out of the bag? Not yet. Nope, 6 is still there. And we are carrying on, and I think we've reached in. No, we've still got one more lap. We still have one more lap. See, this is probably when you don't have the information on the screen, you don't know where you are. So now we're on the last lap. So can I pull anything out of the bag on this last lap? So you can see again, yeah, haven't really lost any pace, but haven't really gained on him either. If anything, I probably have lost a little bit of time on him more than anything else. But 6 is still within reach. I've got to pull something out of the bag or wait for him to bugger up. As you can see there, probably went a little bit wide there, so that didn't help. So I have definitely lost some ground there, which doesn't help me. So still carrying on. Yeah, again, this race wasn't the most eventful. It's not, yeah, I had one little scuffle with. Well, I say scuffle. It was more bump with the Spaniard TOTRD, and I just can't seem to gain any ground on 6th place. So it looks like 7th place it is for me. Going up to a bit the next section here, and it looks like I've gained a little bit of ground now. Yeah, I've definitely gained a little bit of time coming up to the bridge. So coming into the last couple of corners, a little bit of a cut there. Surprised I didn't actually get a penalty for that cut, because that was quite a bit of a cut for me, I think. So I'm quite surprised I didn't get a penalty then. Yeah, little bit of a cut there, and fortunately couldn't get 6th. But 7th place, starting in 11th. I'll take it. Not my best result, but it could have went a hell of a lot worse. So now we're coming up to race C, a race that was a complete and utter mess at the start. And here we are in race C at Fuji International Speedway. And you can see I've qualified in 10th, so not great. But even though my qualifying lap on this was, I think it's my 132.3, which actually is not actually that bad. I mean, the top 10s I think are in like 130s, maybe late 129s to 130s. So I'm not actually that far off pace. But the only problem is that I put that qualifying time in the raid rigs. And I tried this first race with the raid rigs, and it was a fucking nightmare. So I thought, you know, I'm going to go to a car that I can control a little bit better. But I say control a little bit better until we get into turn 1. And you can see, coming on to very deep that, and completely nearly whacked that guy off. Now that was fully 100% my fault. I completely and utterly missed the braking point there. Completely and utterly missed the braking point. And obviously, it will be pretty goddamn obvious. I got a penalty, which is rightly fucking so. I literally have no idea what the hell I was thinking there. That was complete and utter shit driving for me, really. Missing the braking point, probably doing everything fucking wrong, and I literally have no excuses. It was just generally the shit. Complete and utter shit. But and you see, we managed to get the thing. But it's the thing. There was a lot of bumps, a lot of knocks, and this and that here in this race. But again, see, it's a little bit. This was a very messy race, to be honest. It was a very messy race. But again, Fuji itself again is not a very strong track for me. It's not my strongest track, like Autopolis. So it's kind of like, so obviously that was one reason why it wasn't so good. But you see, just served one penalty and now dropped down to 14th. So yes, not a great start. First lap, complete and utter mess, complete and utter fuck up on T1, and it was just downright generally dreadful. And already kind of got up to 13th. But as you can see, the person who I punted off he's in 10th at least at the moment. He may climbed up position since then, but after a time he was in 10th place, so he's managed to get back up to roughly where he was at the start of the race. So he hasn't been punished too badly, but obviously he probably could have been doing a bit better because of my mistake. Coming into this race, now do I gain positions here? Yes, I do gain another position because the Polish driver went a bit wrong on that little tight. I don't know if you call it chicane or hairpin or what. I don't know. Maybe like a kind of chicaney kind of corner. But now I'm in the 12th. The guy who hit off is in 9th. So slowly climbing back up, slowly, ever so slowly. Going back onto the long straight. In front of me served penalty, so I managed to gain a couple of positions. Now I'm actually back up the 10th, so I'm now back to where I started by the end of lap 3. No, by the end of lap 3, the start of lap 3. God, I can't even count. I can't race and I can't count. So let's have a look. So this one, I don't know if you could do this on a no stop strategy. Because I'm racing on the mediums on this. I do think you do have to pit at least once on this track, I think, in this race. But it just depends on what tyre you're going on. middleweight pit. So now we're coming up to an Italian. Now I think, for a large chunk of the time, a large chunk of this race, there's a group of people who are just together for the whole race, and it's like me in the Italian. I can't see his name. Is Matthias. It's Matthias something. I can't fully read his name at the moment. It's like Matthias Purax or something along those lines. I'm sort of with him for a large chunk of this race. Little bit of a bump there. I think he does go a little bit wide, but I don't think there I pushed him wide. I think he just generally just went a little bit wide. There. Yes, Matthias Urprex or something like that. I don't know. I'm not so sure how to pronounce it. But even if I did push him wider on, managed to catch up, get on the streamline, overtake basically. Gets into my slipstream. Overtake. So take the inside on T1 and climb back into the ninth. Sort of very close race at the moment, really, between 9th and 10th. You can see throughout all this, it's like it's ever so slightly twisting, turning, slightly changing. So who in the end ends up basically on top. So he goes wide. I take the inside, and I take 9th place. So all in all, at the end of that little tight, intense moment of racing, I do eventually come out on top, mainly because unfortunately the Italian did go wide on that one corner, which allowed me to take position. I think there's a little bump there with the Saudi Arabian. I think that's Saudi Arabia. You have to correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I think that's the Saudi Arabian flag. I mean, I should know. I keep seeing it fucking everywhere in this fucking game, but I'm not totally sure. I'm not 100% sure of the flag, but for now I'm going to say it's Saudi Arabian, because I'm pretty sure that's what it is, but correct me in the comments below if I'm wrong. But yeah, a little bump there, but no harm, no foul, didn't bugger him up, so all fair. So trying to get in the slipstream, I don't think the slipstream in this race was set to be very strong, but I don't think this is not a very strong slipstream in this race. So seem able to get over the inside, but not quite. Just wasn't close enough. So we'll stay settled back in 9th place. Getting a bit of a gap now. Go a bit wide. As soon as it's like, ooh, got a bit of a gap going. Go a bit wide. Allow the gap to close in. Wonderful. So yeah, a lot of these, I think there's certain points in throughout all these races, I get to a point where it sort of starts to calm down, starts to settle down. Things aren't as like E and A and as much, and it's just all nicely settled. So this kind of this point where people's tires are starting to get a bit squiff. So people who obviously may not be pushing it as much, especially with the amount of people that were going off and spinning around and this and tyre wear problem. And so people are now starting to sort of settle down. And you see, managed to climb up to 8th and then lose it. I don't know if the Polish guy there, I don't know if he was intentionally trying to get me to punt off or not. I have no idea, because he did ghost for some reason. I don't know, it was a bit messy there. But unfortunately, due to that whole situation of probably that area there, which was probably a bit scuffly, I do unfortunately drop 2 positions, back down to 10th unfortunately. On the inside, little bump, just a little bit of a bump. But, lucky enough, he didn't go off, it didn't push him off. It was no intention to push wide. But yeah, this race for me wasn't great, it wasn't smooth, but as I said earlier in the video, this entire races this week was a bit rough, to be honest. Got a little bit of a punt there from J Ghost, unfortunately, but again, it's just a little, just a little tap. but no harm, no foul. You know, but I can't really criticise anybody this week for a little punch and this and the other, because I did fucking loads, and it was just terrible. It was terrible driving for me this week, I think. Or at least for the daily races, it was terrible driving anyway. So, now falling back down to 11th place, can climb 10th. You know, trying to give him a bit of room there, trying not to force him too much on the inside. But, managed to climb back up into 10th. Now coming up to the last corner for the long straight. Probably not the smoothest corner, but, you know, I'll take it. At least I got round it alive. But unfortunately I had a penalty. But I think that penalty was more because I think I cut one of the corners a little bit too much. So you can see a bunch of people going into the pits there, but I decided to stay out for one more lap. Just try and open up some kind of gap between me and 8th place at least, or a few of the drivers. Fortunately in the replays you can't really see like your split times between other drivers. It doesn't seem to show up on the replays. I guess that's obviously because the timing's done via the server, so in the replay it wouldn't work because there's no server there to do timing. But you know, I think there's a bit of a gap. I think the gap at this point, I think it was about 12 seconds. I think between me and 8th. The gap was about 12 seconds, so it was around that area. So, you know, so I had a little bit of a gap. And this was a race where you didn't need to pit to refuel. It was just literally just pit, change tires, back out again. You know, bish bash bosh. Now, going into the last few corners. Always a bit of a messy area of the track, I think, for me. For me, it's a bit of a messy area in ways of my driving anyway. But I think also in ways of when you're racing with other people, it can also be a bit of a messy area. That is, you know, that's a little bit of a messy area. But you see, I'm actually 6th. Didn't actually realise I'm play 6th. From shows how much I've been keeping an eye on, I think. So I'm coming in to do my tyre change. No need to refuel. And then there's how many laps? We're on lap 7 at the moment. You know, there's 6 laps left, and we've still got like over half a tank, a little bit over half a tank of fuel. So there'll be no need to refuel. So it's just get in there, change tyres, get back out, bosh. And where do I come out? I come out in magical 11th. So all in all, after that, me staying out for that one extra lap did absolutely bugger all to my position overall in the end. So that was great. That was. Alright, so now it's a question like, where do I finish? So you can see I'm back out with the Italian driver again. I'm sort of back out with that kind of group of people again. So, but now that I'm on fresh new tyres, and getting to the point now where I'm more settled into the race. My mood, I think, at this point was a bit more settled as well. So I was a bit more, like, kind of sort of like, you know what? If I do well, I do well. If I don't do well, I don't do well. You know, it's just complete the race. Just try and get a comfortable result. Which, unfortunately, at the moment, a bit wide. But I don't think I got a penalty there. But it's just unfortunately a bit wide. But you know. And a bit wide there. You see, I'm not. It's a bit. I'm a bit rubbish at this track. I'm not strong at Fuji. But you can see, it's just like comfortable position, 11th place. Not comfortable position with that. Not comfortable enough. So, going to spend a few laps, push a little bit, try and get some ground. Because you can see, due to those few mistakes there. Falling back a bit from that group, unfortunately. So it's the question of now trying to catch up. Can I gain any positions? Where do I finish? Can I gain with? You know, because at the moment, 8th place is within earshot. You can see he's just there. Sort of 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th for me are in a closest group. You know, we're in a you know, pretty close group. We're not side by side, but you know, we're all in earshot of each other. And you can see I've managed to catch up with 10th and 9th very quickly. So now I'm literally within that. We're all now in that tiny group. Now it does seem to be that I think that's Austrian, the Damon Scream. I think that's your Austrian flag. But as you can see, he doesn't seem to have any beef with me, concerning the incident on the first lap in turn 1, where I ran into him because I completely missed the braking point. But you see, he went a bit. He did go wide there, unfortunately. So I was overtaking and climb up into 10th. But he didn't have any beef with me. It seemed to be, so it was like he probably just saw it as complete full accident. No point of being blah blah blah. So let's just bosh. Now he's going to go into the pits, I think, on this lap. Yep. So Damon Screen goes into pits, so that's him over. With me and the Polish driver did have a little penalty. I think that's because of some corner cutting or going a bit wide. So now it's a battle for 9th place. I think at this point 8th place is sort of kind of gone, almost a bit. I think so. So really now it's at the moment it's a battle for 9th. And can I overtake the Polish driver? Here I can't see what his name is. It's something like Seawern, something. I don't know. I hate trying to pronounce the name sometimes. I just know I'm going to butcher them. I'm going to butcher your name. But no, he goes a bit wide there, and I'm over to get into overtaking place and take 9th place. So now now do I have to keep on defending against the Polish driver, or is he gonna be like, you know what? Let's work together. Let's work together to try and catch up with 8th. Because 8th place is not too far. He's not too far ahead, and there's still 3 laps to go. So it's still within earshot of being able to get 8th here. So hopefully the Polish driver is thinking, yeah, let's work together. Let's work together to try and catch up with this group. So, you know, you set the pace, you push hard, I'll follow. Bang. Simple as. And you can see we're slowly catching up. With 8th, and I think 7th is there as well, actually. I can't quite see them, but I think 7th is also there with 8th at the same time. So it's a question of can we catch up, well, going a bit wide there for the both of us. Catching up with Saudi Arabia ain't going to happen. If we count like that. It does seem we've lost a bit of the ground, I think, now. But I think we're still within this slight earshot. Because then, yeah, 7th and 8th, not too far ahead. Still within earshot. But the laps are ticking down. The time is ticking down. So let's see if I can pull anything out of the bag. So you can see my fastest lap at the moment was lap 3 at 1:34.3, but that's 2 seconds off my qualifying time. 2 seconds off. So this shows that how much I was not on pace with this entire race. As my lap times are kind of a bit all over the place. So I got 1:35, 1:34, 1:38, 1:39, 1:36. You know, it's kind of all over the fucking shop in this race. All over the shop. I was in the vegetarian aisle, I was in the vegan aisle, and I was in the meat eater aisle, in the house section. I was all over it. I was everywhere in this race. Going up to the penultimate lap. Still, the gap's still about the same. The Polish driver is actually, he's dropped off quite a bit now. So now I can just, since he's dropped off, you can see there's a very big gap between me and the Polish driver, so I can now just concentrate more on just pushing to try and catch up with 8th and see if I can get an 8th position. But obviously, it being Fuji, not being my strongest track, I can't push massively hard. Unfortunately, it really sucks. Really sucks so badly. But what can I do? Now, since this is a bit of this rest is bit of an eventful at the moment, I do think that this track Fuji does actually reappear next week as well in the day races. I think it is also in next week's day races, which is kind of strange. Why have the same track twice over? Now I don't know if they may change their mind on that, but I do think it is in the daily races next week. But I think it's a GR4 race, not a GR2. But it might be the short version of the track, so it may not have that weird chicaney bit in it. But I am thinking it's a bit weird for them to have Fuji twice in a row. It is a bit And race B or race C. Yes, I think Fuji will be race B next week, and I think race C is at the Kyoto. But it's the Kyoto with the extension on it as well. I can't remember the name of the extension, but it also has the extension. But it is in reverse as well, and I think it is a GR3 group race. So you can see I've caught up with the Saudi Arabian. Very close to him now. But am I able to catch up enough to overtake and get 8th place? Or do I finish in 9th? I'm not too far because 10th is gone. 10th I ain't gonna worry about. Go a bit wide there. Not great. Still about the same kind of ground. Slowly, so I'm kind of catching up, kind of getting there, but not just quite, kind of losing it. Oh, terrible corner there from me. Now you see, now it's just unfortunately the slipstream was not very strong in this race, but I'm not close enough to get 8th, so I finish in 9th, which, considering how my race went, 9th place, I can't really argue with. Yeah, not the best result, but it could have been so much worse. But that's it for the daily races. But this week we also have the bonus race of the Manufacturers Series Round 1. There we are at Kyoto, which I think next week is actually, as I previously said, I think it's actually in next week's daily races, but it will be in reverse. As you got the Farmmeister Sausage 07 in the Jaguar, Esto Kies in Aston, yeah, in the Aston Martin, I don't know if I pronounced that, in the BMW, fortunately I can't pronounce the name. You got me in the Toyota. I've gone for Toyota this season, for the pre-season. The Solar Crow in the McLaren. Also have Losker in the Porsche. Militaire in the Volkswagen, don't know how to pronounce it. Angustia S in the Ferrari 458. Porrepeat in the Mustang. I have Finley in the Porsche. No Porsche. Napo 1968 in the McLaren F1, my previous car. Goldum 21 in the Volkswagen Beetle. Dr. Rachtal in the Mercedes AMG. Jeremy MC also in the Mercedes AMG. Alain Vidou in the Audi R8. Geely in the Nissan. Master in the Porsche. C. Maranon in the Jag. And JB75 in the NSX. So this is the pre-season for the Manufacturers Series. You can see I qualified in 5th, so not a bad. I didn't have not a bad qualifying for me. And this season I've decided to go for, well, pre-season at least, I've decided to go for Toyota. Last season I was in McLaren, and last season for me was, it was alright. It wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible. But I thought this season I'll go for something different, and I thought let's try Toyota. I'm going to try Toyota for this season. So we are at Kyoto. The Kyoto, so the Yamagiwa and the Miyabi conjoined track, and 7 laps. Fuel in this race was not a big ass problem. I think that was the point you. Oh, and I see the Aston Martin already off. Don't know what happened there. I don't know if he just spun or if he had a bit of a terrible accident with somebody. But managed to climb to the 4th. Now in this race, yeah, I think you could do this without needing to refuel, but you would have to fuel save. But I think most people did do a little bit of refueling, because if you did refuel, you didn't have to refuel a load. It was only just a little bit of refuel. But it was more about the tyres, I think, with this race, on whether you went for mediums or whether you went for hards. Now I've gone for medium tyres. My god in this race, did the medium tyres die quickly in this race. They died so quickly. It was surprising how quickly they died. Now I think my brake balance, my brake bias for this, I think I've gone for -3, because I did do +3, and in the qualifying the tyres again in that were just dying really quickly. So I think I've got to think it doesn't matter where they put the fucking brake bias, the tyres just died as quick as fuck in this race. They just died so quickly. And you can see we're still on the first lap. It's actually good. I think each lap is about 2 minutes. I think on each lap is it was about 2 minute lap, roughly, give or take. And still looking coming up third and take third place. Begin to get ahead of the Porsche or Farsmeister. I think that's how you pronounce his name. I'm not 100% sure. So far so good. We're doing very well so far. Coming at the end of the first lap and managed to climb up 2 positions. And you can see I'm in car number 10. So technically I should be a bit further back, apparently. But I don't really trust the whole driver rating relating to the car number thing anymore. I don't really buy it myself. So on the second lap, we're up in the 3rd place. Do we gain any positions? Do we lose any positions? What happens? What happens in this race? There I got supporting myself a little Toyota / Miku decal design there. Nope. Behind. Now I don't know what flag that is. I think it's Finnish. I'm not 100% sure. Now, yeah. Unfortunately, I do get rear-ended by the Porsche, which then unfortunately does make me rear-end the Finnish driver. Now I don't know if it's because it's because if the Porsche was coming in too quickly, or if I braked a bit early. There was a good chance it was because I braked early, because that corner where the little accident happened was primarily the only corner in the race where I wasn't entirely sure where to brake there. I had a rough idea where to brake, but I wasn't entirely sure where the best braking point was. So that accident was probably kind of caused due to the fact that I probably broke a bit early, because again was a corner where I wasn't entirely sure where to brake there. But you can see I did climb up the 2nd, so I'm now in 2nd place. So I just kind of thought I was kind of feeling bad for that Finnish guy, because he was ahead of me, and now he's fallen down 7th because unfortunately I rear-ended him because I got rear-ended by the Austrian. Actually, I think it's the Swiss. I think that's the Swiss flag. I'm not entirely sure. You'll have to correct me on that if I'm wrong. Again, flags is not my strongest point. But basically, the Porsche driver, Farsmeister, unfortunately did run the back of me. But again, that could have been because I broke too early. So coming into the 3rd lap, We are in second, still second. The passing lap time so far being a 2 minute 21. My qualifying time was about a second faster, maybe a second and a half faster than that. I can't exactly remember exactly, but I know my qualifying time was in 2:20s. So we're at the moment we're comfortably in second place at the moment. No, not really fighting with anyone directly at the moment. But as you can see on the screen, my front right tyre is dying to death. It's only about half. It's only got about half of its life left. Compare it to all the others. Front left, it's dying, but it's still got some. Still all right. The bottom right, still all right. Bottom left is pretty nice actually, but that front right, it is dying to death. Dying so badly. But that was the main. The right hand side seems to wear or wore a bit more in this race than the left, but especially that front right. So we got what? I think that tire's got about a third of its life left now, I think. So I will be starting to struggle in certain corners on this track. So as you can see, Loska, another Porsche driver. Bring that to Porsche? Yeah, another Porsche driver. He's managed to catch up. Which at this kind of point, I was thinking, if there's a point where he tries to overtake, where I think he definitely is able to overtake, I'm not gonna defend too much because my tyres are dying, and he may be running on a slightly harder tyre, so therefore his tyres will be in slightly better health than mine. But I'm still I'm able to hold him off for now. So still able to hold him off. But if I definitely know if I'm gonna need to back off, I will back off and let him take second, because I decided to stay out for one more lap. Considering that my front right tyre is near enough dead at this point. It's near enough dead at this bloody point. I think my reason as to why I stayed out for this one more lap was just because there was quite a fair few people behind. And I thought I'm gonna push my car to the limit and get as much as I can out of it, pitting as late as possible. So you can see Loska had a little bit of an error going on there, but he finally managed to overtake. I thought at this point he was catching up. He's going to overtake. I'm not going to defend at that point because there's no point, because my front left is dying quite badly, and my front right is basically dead. It's died to death. It's died of death basically at this point. But let's go a bit wide there. But I'm just quite surprised I'm actually still able to keep this car on the fucking track. I'm actually quite surprised about that. But the Super, I think this is the Super GT concept. Okay, a little bit wide there, unfortunately. But I think that's because I did get a little bit punted by the Finnish driver. But at that point, I'm thinking he probably bumped into me because he was a bit annoyed at me because of me hitting him earlier. But unfortunately, there was no way for him to know really that I was also hit from behind by someone else. Unfortunately, he probably didn't know that. But I wasn't too annoyed with him hitting me there because it did go wide. I did go wide, but one, it didn't spin me out. I didn't go off the track, and at this point, I was planning to lap it anyway. To pit in anyway. So I was like, you know what? Yeah, it's annoying when people do that kind of thing, but myself, I at the point I was not really that bothered by it. As you see, lost guards gone off, so did get up second, but due to my tyre wear, now down to third. But we're going to pit, and you can see my top right is it is dead. It's completely dead. I ran it to its death. So you can see it coming to pit in, and we'll have to see where we come out. So I pitted in on 4th, I think it was at that point. Pitted in 4th place. Where do I come out? Apart from behind the finish driver. And we come out in 6th place. So, lost a couple of positions. So let's see what we can do in the last 2 laps. So, got the finish driver in the is that Nissan? I can't tell. I can't bloody tell from here. No, it's a BMW. What am I all about? Silly me. So we've got the fitness driver in the BMW in front of me and the British driver in the Ferrari behind me. And we'll see what can we pull out in the back here. So coming into this corner again, I think at this point I kind of had a rough idea of where the better braking point for that corner was. So I was able to get around it a bit better, a bit smoother, and hopefully not really cause any accidents there at all. But yeah, this Toyota, as I was going to say earlier, this Toyota, I think it's the Super GT concept, or Joy, as I was going to say, but no, the GT concept. It's not a bad car. Personal example, I think it's not actually. It's a pretty good car. I reckon. I would say. You know, I've only driven it a really little bit, but I think it's not actually a bad car. And as you can see, I've managed to climb up to 4th place. So I managed to climb up 2 positions. There was, I think that's because there was a couple of penalties going on at that point. So, but managed to climb up a couple of places. Can't argue. So we're coming to near the end of 5th lap, and managed to get up myself back into 3rd place. So within the pit lap, I managed to climb up from 6th to 3rd. Not bad going, I would say. The leader is pitting in now, but he doesn't get overtaken at this point because he was pushing on the hard tire. So I don't know what was the better strategy for this one, whether it was to run on mediums or to run on hard. I don't know what was the better strategy, to be honest. I think both strategy had their strengths, but also had the potential weakness, I reckon. But on 6th lap, and not too far from the Soul of Crow, not too far behind him. Definitely, with still two laps to go, still definitely within reach to get 2nd place. Definitely within reach of getting 2nd. The Solar Crow is in McLaren, but I think he's in the McLaren S650S. I think. I don't think he's in the F1. I think he's in the 650S. Now I don't know what the 650S is like because last season I raced for McLaren and I used the McLaren F1 for the Group 3 and the 650S for the Group 4. But when the manufacturers you can choose between the F1 and the 650S Group 3 version. So I think I am slowly gaining on 2nd in the Toyota Miku. I was going to call it a Toyota Miku. Simple as. So the gains of ground. Let's see. I'm able to gain more ground on him before the end of the penultimate lap. And coming up to the hairpin now. I'm not actually too far off from the leader as well. I think we're about 8 seconds off the leader. I think at this point, something like 8 or 10 seconds. I think, or somewhere around that region. Putting in the purple sector there. I don't know. I can't remember the color codes for sectors. I think purple is basically means is that you were the fastest in that sector, or you set the fastest lap. And I think blue is basically that was your fastest sector, and that was your fastest lap. I think I got a few purple sectors in this race. So coming up to the final lap, let's see if we can take 2nd place, because he is definitely within 2nd place at the moment. Is definitely within earshot. It's definitely within reach. coming up to the wibbly wobbly hill section, and little bit wide there from the Solar Crow, so I'm able to gain a little bit of ground. Coming into the long left-hander, probably going a little bit wide there myself, but still within pace with the Solar Crow. Coming into the horrible area where you can easily, where I reckon you can easily spin out your car going on that because of the whole little bump that there is. But still within pace with the Solar Crow, only probably few tenths of a second behind him. So I think this will probably come down to the last few straights, I reckon. Alright, now and again, long left-hander, probably a bit wide, I reckon, possibly, because I have seemed to have lost a little bit of ground on the Solar Crow. But there's always time to make that ground back up. Another corner where you can quite easily spin your car again, because of the whole little bump of you rejoining the Yamagiwa part of the track. But I almost completely butchered the name there. Yeah, but Yamagiwa. So again, bit wide. I just kept going little bits and bobs of wide on these last few corners. Just little bits and bobs of wide here and there. You know, wasn't working to my favour, but I was still able to keep up with second place with the Solar Crow. Still within earshot of taking second place. Within earshot. So, because by now I'm literally near enough right behind him. So can I overtake him with the slipstream? Now he does dart left and right, so he does try and allow me his slipstream. Do I manage to take over? No, I do not. Just about missed out on second place. So that was a very close finish. Very close finish. I think in the end, the Solar Crow beat me by 0.071 seconds. So extremely close race. But that's it for this week's races. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please remember to like and subscribe, and maybe share this video with your friends. And let me know in the comments below what you thought of my racing, especially with the other races. And as always, you know, I'm going to see you at the finishing line, aren't I? So I'll see you there.